the traffic in Los Angeles. It says something that local officials warned motorists about a temporary roadwork closure on the 405 last year by calling it Carmageddon. Angelenos took the hint, and this weekend they're expected to steer clear of the latest 405 closure, named, of course, Carmageddon 2. That's how it is in L.A., a snarl of overstuffed freeways and commuters who keep their cool, except when they don't. KPCC's Stephen Cuevas has this profile of a punk rocker whose music expresses the insanity of L.A. traffic while extolling the virtues of public transit.
Couple of things you need to know about Eddie Solis. He lives in L.A., loves the band Kiss, and does not own a car.
Being someone who's from L.A., born and raised, and, having a few cars in my past, I saw the city much differently, through a different perspective, through the eyes of a bus rider.
Want this all the way to the back? Sure.
Line 18, Wilshire, Western Station.
Just steps from the front door of his home, across the street from a tortilla factory in LA's Boyle Heights neighborhood, Solis catches a bus that connects him with the city's subway and the commuter train he catches to his day job at an indie record label in Hollywood.
It just opened me up to little neighborhoods, galleries, clubs, bars, just everything. Just seeing what's out there, little pockets of the city.
Solis's journeys aboard LA buses and subway cars informs a lot of the material on The New Los Angeles Part 1, Through the Eyes of a Bus Rider, the latest release by the singer-guitarist band It's Casual. In Solis's vision of a new Los Angeles, people abandon their cars, climb aboard public transit, and rediscover their communities. One song extols the virtues of the LA County Metropolitan Transit Agency's Easy Pass and the urban underbelly it introduces to the rider.
And that's a nod and homage to, the people who know what you could even go cheaper and really beat the system and really steer away from spending money on gas and oil profits and all that. Is all it takes for me to witness racial tension, for me to witness illegal aliens. It's not to paint a negative picture, it's just my perspective of what is seen.
Off the bus and back on the street, we make our way past a jazz saxophonist playing for pocket change and down a long escalator to catch a train.
So, where are we now?
We're at the Red Line station, the Pershing Square station in downtown LA.
And what's our destination?
We're going to go downstairs another tier, and in about 5 minutes we're going to get on the Red Line going northbound.
Okay, let's go.
The Metro Red Line snakes from North Hollywood to downtown Los Angeles. It's the train that inspired It's Casual's signature tune and spawned a viral internet video. It was partly filmed late at night on a moving train as it hurtles from station to station. Solis thrashes away on his guitar and barks the lyrics, which celebrate the Red Line and call out the congested freeways that coil around Los Angeles.
Este es un tren del Metro Red Line a North Hollywood.
The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the 210, the freeways are not so nice.
The thread that comes out of the record that ties everyone together is just be alive, don't be a victim of having a car.
The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The red light, the red light.
An MTA spokesman said he couldn't comment on Eddie Solis's furious pro-Metro message, but the Red Line video was a hit at the offices of Move LA.
Eddie's done a good job. Thank you, Eddie.
It's the public transportation advocacy group headed by former Santa Monica Mayor Denny Zane. He liked the juxtaposition of Solis blissfully riding LA public transit in one scene with scenes of the band raging against those notorious freeway jams.
Eddie is all frantic when he talks about highways and so mellow when he's grooving on a skateboard and on the bus and on the Red Line. There's a metaphor for the transformation, from the, oh my God, I just got to get out of the traffic to, hey, this is cool, I can mellow out.
Or you can blast the tune like Too Many People as you claw your way across Los Angeles by car, bus, or skateboard.
Los Angeles, there's too many people. I want them to go away, even though I think they're afraid.
Too Many People could also be a motto for It's Casual. Over the years, the band whittled itself down to a power duo of Solis and a rotating cast of drummers. So you may think the burly, bearded punk rocker just can't get along with freeways, with people, or his native L.A. Not true.
I love it. I love everything about it. I've traveled throughout the U.S. many times, and I could never look forward enough to coming back. The weather, the different cultures, the landscape. I was just like, you know what? Now I know everyone moves to L.A.
Solis will bring the love and the volume during a Red Line mini tour next month. It's Casual will play a different venue within walking distance of several Red Line metro stops from Union Station to West Hollywood. For the California Report, I'm Stephen Cuevas.
That's the California Report, a production of KQED Public Radio in San Francisco. Our director this week is Nina Thorson. Sil Muller is our technical producer. We had additional engineering from Danny Bringer and Howard Gelman. Thanks to Hank Hadley at KCBX. Our online team includes Lisa Pickoff-White, David Marks, and Don Clyde. Our interns are Catherine Borgeson and Rachel Johnson. Tyke Hendricks is our elections editor with production help from Tina Lauerberg. We had editing support from Paul Rogers. Victoria Mauleon is our associate senior producer. Ingrid Becker is our senior producer. The news director is Bruce Kuhn. I'm Rachel Myro. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend. This is the California Report.
Funds for the California Report are provided by the James Irvine Foundation, expanding opportunity for the people of California and supporting the California Report since its premiere in 1995. And the California Endowment. Health happens in schools at calendow.org. And Chevron, investing in renewables, strengthening communities, and creating jobs. More information at chevron.com.
The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the 210, the freeways are not so nice. The 101, the 405, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The red light, 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 the red light. The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The 101, the 405, the freeways are not so nice. The 605, the 101, the 101, the 101, the I-10, the 210, the 605, the 101, the 405, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The red light, 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 the red light.
Welcome to the 113th episode of Los Angeles Nisa. I'm the show creator, producer, and host, Eddie Solis. And my in-studio guest this evening is Mr. Brian Gross. How are you, Brian?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Awesome. You know, I wanted to dive deep into the world of public relations. You've been a huge component in that industry. You have come from working at record labels and you've been doing your own practice for how long?
This will be my 21st year.
21st year independent,
in some
man.
capacity. Well, not independent, but as much as 21 years ago this month, I went through my CD collection and started calling record labels. I was a senior in high school, and I just got blown off left and right. And the girl who answered the phone, who's now one of my best friends and someone who definitely changed my life, she was answering the phones at lunch, and I go, hey, I want to be an intern. And I just, like I said, I kept getting no's from all the big record labels because you had to be in college. And she's like, well, just come down. And she was a publicist there. She was the last hiree, which means the last hiring. So she had to cover the lunch when the receptionist went to lunch.
Sure.
So I went down and interviewed, and 3 days a week, my senior year of high school, I would head from Newbury Park to Burbank and make press kits and meet incredible people. I mean, the list, Kevin Key from Skinny Puppy and Sir Mix-a-Lot and the guys in Flipper and then the people that worked at the label, Mark Geiger, the founder of, one of the founders of Lollapalooza, and these guys known as the Didia brothers, the general manager and his brother who was there. And obviously it was Deaf American, so it was started by Rick Rubin. So you had Slayer, Black Crowes, Danzig. It was an unbelievable experience. And the kids I went to high school with had absolutely no idea what the hell I was doing.
That's amazing. So you're talking 1993?
Yeah, 93.
Now, were you a senior?
I was a senior in high school at Newbury Park.
Okay, great. So I want to tell your story because it's very unconventional how to enter the music industry. I mean, you called... You
don't do that nowadays, unfortunately. Right. I mean, I really just did it on my own and decided, hey, I'm just going to intern at a record label. I was actually coaching basketball and I got fired. So
really?
Yeah, I did. It was pretty funny.
Well, like for a youth league?
No, I wasn't very good at basketball, but I love the sport and know it really well. So I was an assistant coach for our soft rush team, and we had a fallout with a referee during a game. And I'll just leave it at that. But
gotcha.
No, I just knew that interning was how you made your way. I don't know how I knew it. I just did. I just learned real quickly, hey, if I'm going to do this, I got to go work for free. And that's what you did in the, I would say in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, and to a certain part now, obviously interning is such an important part of the music industry because you take kids like I was and who are sort of your audience, and the people at the labels love the input and they love the energy from young people. And so, and they also love the fact that you'll work for free.
Sure.
I mean, that's, there's some basicness to that, but they love that they've got people there that inspire them, and you're just around these people and you just take in their incredible energy, and you learn so much. And, the early 90s in the music industry, you think about the transformation from metal to rock. I mean, God, I was driving, think about this. I'm heading from Newbury Park to Burbank, and I've got 5 rock radio choices. Think about that. We don't even have one.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't. And I could name them off. You had KLOS, you had KLSX, you had K-Rock, you had Pirate, and you had KNAC.
And KNAC.
All on your FM dial. Think about that.
Yeah, all right next to each other.
Unbelievable. The amount of incredible. But what was happening was you had the grunge contingent, you had the metal contingent, and you had just this overwhelming, you still had your classic rock, you had K-Rock doing what they did as far as alternative, and you had this overwhelming amount of music, but it was crossing. And so there was just no way you were going to maintain 5 stations. It just wasn't possible.
Right. Especially with, like what you said, the whole grunge thing, Soundgarden, Nirvana, Chili Peppers. I mean, Chili Peppers, they were part of that. They were LA, but they weren't part of the Seattle scene. But that whole alternative explosion.
Pearl Jam.
Everything was just gelling together now.
Yeah.
And nothing was segregated no more.
And then you had someone like Lon Friend in Rip Magazine that was a metal magazine, but he even had to do things like, Tool. And not saying he didn't want to. He loved that band. We all do. But he just had to transform, him and Christine Esslin and the people involved at RIP, what they were doing. I mean, I think at the time, people were probably, that were in it, were kind of freaked out.
Sure.
But when you look back, there isn't a soul that doesn't miss that doesn't miss seeing those bands at the Palladium, seeing those bands at the Whiskey, and just taking it in. I was also interviewing bands. So I was interviewing bands like Urge Overkill. I was interviewing The Offspring. I was writing freelance for like Hits Magazine.
So you were freelancing back in the day?
Yeah, I was. I did a lot of music writing. I was writing for my high school paper too at Newbury. So, but I found fanzines, and I remember I interviewed James Iha from the Smashing Pumpkins, and this was funny because I called him the wrong name.
What'd you call him?
I think I called him Brad or something. I just screwed up, called him the wrong name. But it was just one of those things where I was getting to interview bands and this and that. And one of my favorite memories is this publicist, Dennis Dennehy, who's just, I love that guy so much. He's a great publicist in the music industry, just a great guy. Call him up and I'm like, hey, I want to interview Kurt Cobain. He goes, no, but I'll give you a ticket to the show at the Forum.
Cool.
And I went and saw...
In utero, right?
Yeah. I went and saw one of the most incredible shows of my life, which was Nirvana at the Forum in 93. It was December 93.
And then Kurt died April after.
Yeah.
I went to both those shows.
Yeah.
Bobcat Goldthwait was the MC, right?
And it was Choke Bore and the Butthole Surfers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just in awe. It was, I'd been to concerts before that. My first show was like 1990. I was like 15. But I mean, it was... I actually watched that show on YouTube the other day, and I've listened to so many Dave Grohl interviews, and I just saw the Foo Fighters this weekend in New York. But the thing that Dave stressed that Kurt was very adamant about was they rehearsed every day. Every day. He was meticulous as an artist. And when you go back and take in a couple hours and watch that show again and realize A, how incredible the songs were, and B, how well they played them. It is one of the best shows you will watch because it was nonstop that whole night. They barely stopped to talk. He said like 5 things, and they just went one after another for well over 2.5 hours. And there's a great story. A drunk Eddie Van Halen was backstage and wanted to encore with him. And Charles Cross wrote about this in his Nirvana book. And I had no idea until I read the book. And Kurt and the guys were like, no, thanks. It's fine.
It's cool.
We're just going to do our encore.
Right. Yeah. I heard about that. And I heard he really wanted Pat Smear's guitar.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You know where I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's so hilarious.
Pat's a great guy. I saw him. I saw him at the Grammy Awards and then obviously saw the band the other night. He's so funny. He's just a funny, happy guy. They all are in the Foos, but I mean that guy, he always cracks me up.
Totally. So it's funny because you committed in high school to really immersing yourself in the music industry, and you were writing not just for any publication but a trade magazine.
Yeah.
And that could get, not complicated, but you're dealing with analytics, stats, and it's all about charts.
Well,
right?
No, I fortunately didn't because again, for me, it was just about building up, clippings. And so when I called and met with Roy Trakin, he just said, how's your writing? I'm like, well, I don't suck. And he read some stuff I wrote and he's like, just interview bands for me. It's Q&As. It's real simple.
Oh, okay.
So I interviewed Bad Religion. I interviewed, like I said, Urge Overkill. I interviewed Lou Gramm of Foreigner. Just a wide variety. I mean, my taste was pretty wide. It wasn't as wide until I got to a label that I realized how many bands there were that were signed that you never discover. And over the years that I worked at music labels from 93 to 99, I worked for every 2 bands that someone would know. I worked about 40 that you had no idea about.
Right. And that's one thing that became like a real life thing. There's a lot of work being put into bands that will never see the success that another band would see.
But you know what? I'll say this, though. The bands that are successful, there's a reason. There's always a reason. They work hard. They have some sort of talent.
And they have a great team.
They have a great team.
Management.
They have longevity. They figure it out. Certainly we all have bands that we were close to, that we loved, admired, etc., that maybe didn't, quote unquote, make it when you worked at a label. Anyone you ever meet that worked at a label has a band or bands like that, that you go, damn it, I wish that band made it. But for the most part, the bands that did make it, and there were certainly ones I worked with, love or hate, they had the tenacity. They had something that allowed them to get to the next level.
And I think it's very important that you point that out because there is a strategy that these bands, I think, had. It wasn't, it just didn't happen. There was, like you said, great management that came and rallied up the support of the label staff.
Well, let's
right?
put it this way. If they didn't have great management, that management was replaced. So when a label saw that there was a band and it had a lot of potential, they moved on. I had a great experience. I was going up to a Raider game, and I have a Bo Jackson jersey I love to wear, and this guy walks by me. And he goes, "Nice jersey." And I don't even think twice. I'm like, "Gee, thanks." You know, I'm at Southwest in Burbank, so, you know, it's the Raider train up to Oakland. And I get in line security, and it's Mike Dirnt from Green Day.
Oh, really?
So so we talk in line, and then we go have a beer, and then we sat down next to each other on the flight. And so I probably spent like 2 to 3 hours with him. And, you know, I worked at Warner Brothers and got to work for the publicist. I was the assistant to the publicist for Green Day. And saw a lot of what they went through. And Mike has so many tremendous stories, but you want to know something fascinating? Every time Green Day put out a record, there was a different president at the label. And every time they put out a record, they had to sort of prove again why the label should support them. Now think about this. This is Green Day.
Right.
It's a band that's, the success is A, deserved, but B, unbelievable.
Sure.
You know, to the depth. I mean, we're right now celebrating the 20th anniversary of Dookie, actually.
Jesus.
So, if you want to feel old. But he just talked about the stuff, you know, the struggles. Nothing was easy with that band. And you know what? The other thing they're really proud of is when they took their music to Broadway. There was a ton of pride. And he was like, you know, I hope you get a chance to see it. And I hadn't, unfortunately. I didn't see it. And obviously it tours and there's going to be an opportunity to see it. But it was one of those things where you could tell this wasn't like, yeah, we have a musical on Broadway, blah, blah, blah. It was like, we put a musical on Broadway. I mean, who would have ever thought a band from the East Bay playing stoner punk rock called Green Day would put a music? I mean, that's just incredible.
Well, just from when they went to look out to Warner Brothers, was like, what?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Then it became the biggest thing.
And they wrote and recorded a brilliant album.
Right.
And
many times over.
Yeah, I always told him my favorite track that I ever was The Return of 86. And he's like, that is a good song. And we talked about the song in the Angus soundtrack. I mean, the trials and tribulations that a band like that goes through, you know, and a lot of it's public, but it's also the stuff you don't see, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying about how they have to reprove themselves to the new president.
Yeah, every time.
I think a lot of people that, you know, they think, you know, once you get signed to a label, the work is done. No. They think like everyone just works for you. No, like there's a lot of behind the closed door kind of.
When you get signed to a label, the work hasn't even started. You're signed. Congratulations. Here's your check that you will now
make a record.
You better go. By the way, this check is sort of not, I put in quotes. It's a not really a check. It's a down payment. You know, it's a, you better earn this money back or, you know, you're not going to enjoy this check very long.
Right. But the thing
obviously
is,
that's only gotten harder as we've gone through the last couple of
the 360
decades.
deals and all that.
Yeah. And I get to still talk to artists every now and then about what they go through. And it's certainly challenging. And again, you know, you see how smart a band has to be right now or a musician has to be right now because, you know, you're signing things that are sort of flying by the seat of your pants, whether you understand the deal, you understand what you're signing away, you understand what you're getting from it, you understand how many records you need to make. We certainly live in a more singles world than we ever have. So, you know, you better have good people in your corner.
Absolutely. And the fact that Mike Dirnt was bringing to light that, you know, how much they had to rally up support. I mean, even a band with that much success, they have to go and reestablish relationships within their own label, no matter their historicals.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's just...
You know who the best is at that? And I'll probably bring his name up a lot, but I've witnessed it, is Dave Grohl. I mean, you build relationships. Lars Ulrich's the same way, you know. These are musicians that know that there is a lot of work that goes into the process of Metallica, Foo Fighters, Green Day. You know, if anyone thinks these bands just sort of screw off and coast,
no,
it couldn't be the farthest thing from the truth. And some, you know, there's been certainly documentaries some kind of monster. I mean, there's the Foo Fighters documentary. You do get to see what these artists go through, but you don't, it's a lot of it is so hidden, and probably needs to be, because the struggles and what an artist goes through that is already successful, forget the ones that are trying to be successful. Think about the ones that already have this bar, already set up.
Proven sales stats, and they're in this framework that they've built off hard work.
How about just a band that writes incredible music and you go, okay, now write 8 more songs? I mean, that's pretty challenging,
Yeah, to keep topping yourself.
You have to have a lot of respect for that.
Absolutely. Now, I got a question for you. Going back to the PR world of the way you guys did things, what the heck did you do before the email blast?
Oh man,
it was take a paper clip, a photo, a bio.
I'm not as old school. Like, man, if you sat down with my bosses at the time and they told you stories of being publicists in the my mentors,
70s, right?
70s and early 80s, and okay, so let's eliminate the fax machine.
Okay,
let's eliminate FedEx. I mean, you've got the phones. I mean,
you work the phones, right?
The phones, and it's interesting because nowadays the sort of there's a lost art of the working the phones kind of thing. I mean, I still do it. I do it as much as I can.
It goes a long way, though, I bet, when you call.
It does. There's nothing more. Listen, if you got to close something, you're closing it with the voice. You're not closing it with your fingers typing on a keyboard. You're closing it face to face. I mean, the irony of, I don't even want to go into this, but the irony that we live in a world called social media, which completely lacks anything social. And we're all addicts. I'm the first to admit it. You watched me sit here with my phone before we sat down for this interview. Mm-hmm. It's an art that in many cases is lost, but very successful people still have it and still use it. So yeah, I mean, I worked the phones. I had phone lists. These were the people I was calling today at said publications. Being a kid of whatever, I'm sort of the lost generation of being born in the mid 70s and being pushed into two generations. We're computer literate and we're savvy, but we might not have both V's. Right. So, email has obviously been a part of my life from a teenage kind of place. So, but not everyone was there, so people were still on dial tone and, buzzing in on AOL and Prodigy. I always love saying it. I always love talking about Prodigy. That was my favorite. Chat rooms and Prodigy were the best. I was in this, I'm a huge Queen fan, massive Queen fan.
Are you?
Yeah, and I remember I was in the Queen fan club, and there was a Prodigy Queen fan club where we always exchanged information and bootlegs and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's killer. I had no idea about that with you. I'm a Queen fan as well.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite footage is Live at the Bowl.
Yeah, that is a good one. I mean,
when you come in the helicopter and open up a flash.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, God bless YouTube these days that you can find all this amazing live footage because there's so much good stuff. I love the old 70s stuff. I mean, my favorite album is Queen 2, and the fact, if you remember, that tour got sidetracked because Brian May came down with hepatitis. I believe he came down with hepatitis right before that tour, so it never came to America, and thus that album never really broke.
Exactly.
In the States. And I've always said, and someone's going to steal this and run off with it, but then again, they already did a bunch of Queen stuff already. Queen 2 is a musical that just has to be done at some point. Just
You're
has
right.
to. It's a brilliant album.
Yeah. And I think that, working PR in different industries, you have crossed over and done a lot of stuff with adult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a funny story.
Let's talk about how you ended up. Well, you maintain a mainstream clientele.
Well,
I mean, the Grammys.
Yeah, let's go. We'll go back a step. I mean, I worked my way up in the record label. So I was an intern at Deaf American. I went to school for a year. I came back. I interned at Warner Brothers. I then took an assistant job at Reprise Records, and then took a tour publicity job at Elektra. I was at Elektra, and so it's now the end of '98, or close to the end of '98. And we take meetings at Elektra in New York City. We took 4 days of publicity meetings. We talk about everything except the internet. We spent about 10 minutes talking about the internet. And it freaked me out. Now, I didn't come prepared. And my old boss I'll have to play him this tape because he'll laugh because he remembers the moment really well where I made a fool out of myself. But I kind of went on this tirade of like, none of you, I'm in a room with like 10, 15 publicists and everyone from the company in our departments and in our department, PR department. And I just was like, you don't understand. This is going to just take over the world. And my boss almost fell out of his chair because he was so embarrassed. But I just didn't have the argument of, we're not focusing on the right thing. We're not focusing on the future, and we're all going to lose our jobs if we don't. And so we go back to LA, and I get offered through a friend of mine, the head of PR for Vivid Video, now Vivid Entertainment.
The video side.
Of the whole company, to be the publicist for Vivid, for the Vivid girls. This is the biggest, and I knew what they were. And so, I went to my circle of friends. I said, I think I'm leaving the record industry. And this is beginning of 99. This is spring of 99. And I go back and I take the gig and I go back to my old boss. And he says, you're crazy. And I said, you know what? My job won't exist at this label in 2 years. You're not going to have tour publicists because it's a waste of money at that time. And this office might not exist as a satellite office in X amount of years. I was right on both accounts. I didn't want to be right. Don't get me wrong, but I was right. And just doing a lot of reading and seeing what Napster did and everything else internet-wise, I'm not even going to go into that. But I just saw an opportunity, and I've always been a risk taker. I mean, it was a why not thing for me. So I went to Vivid. I worked there for just under 2 years, and then before I knew it, I started my own company, and that was January 2001. So, 13 years?
Let's talk about the dynamic between going through the major label infrastructure, working bands like Metallica, Pantera, and then you're getting you're doing tour publicity, right?
Yeah,
and dealing with that kind of routine, and then going into the world of Vivid. Let's talk about how different it was.
It wasn't different, and I'll tell you why it wasn't different. It was the music industry. You're taught to be aggressive. You've got X amount of labels, you have X amount of bands, and you're competing for space. The adult industry was, and when you work music, obviously you have people that have certain different tastes, and they might, one person will like
your writers, right?
Yeah, your writers, what they like, this and that. Well, here's the deal with the adult industry. At the end of the day, when I have an adult client, a production company, or when I was at Vivid, I'm promoting sex on film. And the word pornography, unfortunately, is a bad word in our society, so you don't use it. You use adult film. So I promote adult film, right? Take it or leave it. And there's a certain portion of adult film writers who review adult movies and write about it and critique and this and that, and are very passionate about that stuff. They would that anyone in a mainstream film way would. But when I got in and was pushing the Vivid story to the mainstream, it was really a take it or leave it kind of thing. It was like, listen, this is what I'm promoting. Are you in or are you out? And a lot of people were in, and they wanted to figure out how to do it. And some people were out. There are people that probably will listen to this that know me, or then I can think of a couple people that think I'm the devil, think I'm this terrible person because I made this choice to promote, sex on film and push it out there. And I've had my own reasons for it. I feel at the end of the day, the lack of communication about sexuality, which can go for the same for guns, it can go for drugs, it can go for a lot of things. I mean, we think of a very, the death that took place yesterday by the cause of drugs and our inability to talk about it. That was my mentality when it was offered to me to be the publicist at Vivid. I'm not afraid to talk about anything, and I think a lot of people are afraid to talk. And I think some people listening will go, what does that have to do with pornography? Afraid to talk about sex? Well, when you put it out there, and you make people talk about it, they have nothing left to do. They have to talk about it. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, but there are plenty of things in life that are uncomfortable to talk about that you need to. And this is one of them. And so the type of publicity I did was very aggressive. I worked, the other thing too is I worked with some of the most beautiful women in the world. And you've got Penthouse Pets and Playboy Playmates, and you have all these, all these different types of modeling groups. Well, I can tell you right now, I worked with some of the most beautiful women in the world who loved what they did. They loved having sex on film, and they had no qualms with it. They enjoyed it. Industry's changed over the years, but back then I was working with some of the most, hands down, if you took some of these Vivid girls and you lined them up with
mainstream actresses,
they knocked them out. They were so hot.
But on top of all this, all the output that you put out and your results, I mean, you brought a lot of mainstream press.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never take. I'm not one to take a lot of credit like that. But I mean, I just put my head down. My buddy who did it before, who moved up in the company and thus brought me in, he had done some great stuff. I mean, one of the biggest things we did was, and I didn't do this, it was written about that I did, and I had to call him the second the writer published the article and be like, hey, buddy, I'm not taking credit for your work, and he laughed. But when he put Janine on the cover of the Blink-182 Enema of the State album, I was hired right after that, and then I was hired for a lot of the promotion of it. So we had articles in Rolling Stone and here and there, and tons and tons of media. So it was awesome. The Blink guys, unbelievable. I have a plaque on my wall that I take with tremendous pride. I see them. I just saw them in concert. I see Travis every now and then, and it was really cool. It was a fun ride. It was fun for Janine to be on the cover. It was fun to be in the video. I was there the day they shot the video. It was a blast. And the interesting thing about, the song, What's My Age Again, which was real personal to me, is I was 23 at the time. Okay. So all of a sudden I'm promoting an album with a song that was written for my generation by Mark and Tom. And it's just something you can't even put into words when you get to live through something like that. You promote something like that. You go out there and just see what happens. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, that certainly was a big mainstream thing. And then, back in 2009, I worked with Sasha Grey for 2.5 years, and, with the Girlfriend Experience, and then her and Entourage. And that was an incredible experience. We went to Tribeca, and, it wasn't what outlets we did, it was what outlets we didn't do. And I mean, Sasha Grey was in every major, media outlet in this country. It was a brilliant, casting by Soderbergh to take someone like her, who's incredibly talented, incredibly smart, put her in a film like that, which is a very dialogue-driven film, very independent, low budget, and then you work with Magnolia Pictures, is a credible production house, and just do it right, get out there and just promote the living hell out of that movie with Sasha. And just let it run. And it did, and people loved it. They loved the fact that they were talking to a porn star, and yet it was a very intellectual conversation. It's pretty amazing.
That is. So you guys have to Tribeca with that.
Yeah. Wow. It was in the biggest theater. I remember I was sitting there with my girlfriend at the time, and we're watching it, and part of me was watching the movie, and part of me was just looking around going, wow, there's a lot of people in here. There were a lot of people. The red carpet was amazing. I mean, it was an incredible night. The after party, it wasn't raucous. It wasn't like, whoa, it wasn't like Seattle winning the Super Bowl last night, but it was just the fact that the film got a tremendous response. We're in Tribeca, and you're around the incredible energy, and no one gave a damn. No one looked at her in any different way. She has a lot of celebrity friends that were there, and it couldn't have been a more positive, more invigorating experience than it was.
Very well put. So present day, your PR firm, Brian Gross PR, you're handling, and by all means, mainstream and adult clients. Let's talk about some of your current campaigns that you're working.
Well, I work with Penthouse, which I love working with them. It's a great company. We've done a lot of projects on and off. I work with Burning Angel, and I'm going to screw up. We're not going to list all my clients because I'll probably forget some.
There's a lot.
And no offense to all of them and to the ones I leave out. I work with a variety of companies and talent who aren't afraid to work with me, and who know that I come with a reputation of being very aggressive, being very forthright, being as honest as I possibly can in a world which is publicity, which everyone questions the integrity and honesty of. And I just try and try and make big things happen. You know, every day you wake up, you check your email, and you go, what am I going to do today? What's going to be the cool thing that I do today? For me, it's, you know, as a publicist, listen, I'm not a brain surgeon. You don't need a license. You don't need a degree. I'm a college dropout. I just started working, you know. I went to school for music and realized I didn't want to be a teacher. But, you know, you put your head down and you work really hard, and you just try to have the most integrity you possibly can. You try to do what's best for your clientele. And I've been very blessed, and I'll knock on wood on this desk, the fact that, you know, my clients come to me via word of mouth. Hey, Brian Gross, you should hire me to do this, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, it's been an endless hustle. What my point is if I wake up one day and I don't enjoy the fact that I get an article for a client of mine, I'm done. Because you have to enjoy the simple things in publicity. It's one of those things where it's a daily grind. It can beat you up. Listen, if I stopped doing this the first time I heard the word no, that's 20 years ago. I'd never been doing this. So the word no is every day, and you fight through it. You know, and I work very challenging projects that not everyone loves, and that take a little bit more effort. You know, it's not the simple things. I mean, listen, I have a friend of mine. She's the publicist for Rock Nation, and we work together at Elektra, and, you know, she handles Jay-Z. You know, how hard is that? Well, it's hard. I've seen her. She works hard, but it's different, you know. I got to work with Gene Simmons on a couple projects. Everyone wants Gene. Right. It's different. You handle it differently. No two clients are alike. No two projects are the same. So, you know, you really do have to know your craft and know what you're dealing with and know your media people. And you can't get lazy because you'll get burned real fast.
Which projects did you work with Gene on?
It was the books. It was the books he did with Phoenix Books.
Oh,
so it was a Kiss one, and then
Kiss and Makeup.
That one, not that one. It was like a fanzine book, but then it was the history of prostitution.
Gotcha.
His book about the history of that, which was
the oldest trade, right?
Yeah, the oldest trade. We had him on the CBS morning show and Fox, and I had him do 3 days of media in New York, and
I'm sure he loved it.
Oh, who knows if he loved it? He's Gene. I mean, just don't screw up, you know. The worst thing you'll ever get is that phone call where he's yelling at you. God bless him. The good news is that sometimes he forgets about it, so that's good.
Well,
but I'll say this about Gene, because I know a lot of people go, you know, oh, Gene, whatever. That guy's work ethic is
untouched,
undeniable.
Right?
It's exhausting. You know, like we talked, I just got off a flight from New York, and I'm a little tired. I got nothing. I mean, that guy would get off a flight from Europe, go put on makeup, play for 2 hours, sit down, do this interview, get up. Unbelievable.
And show up on time at that, you know.
You know, don't forget, he's Israeli. So, I mean, you know, his mentality is a military mindset. You know, there is no excuse. There is no emotion. You do what you do. You learn so much from him. And yeah, he's got a big ego. Well, so what? You know, a lot of people have that. But if you're in a room with Gene and you're having a conversation with him, and listen, everyone's got all kinds of stories, you remember it. And it's something special, for better or worse. Because all I can think of is I got a lot of people that love him and a lot of people that sort of roll their eyes. But his work ethic is unbelievable. It's without question. He's constantly going, and he takes a lot of pride in Kiss. And I think, you know, them being elected this year was way too long, but very important for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very
way
cool.
too long. I mean, come on.
Oh, come on. There's like these rap artists already that have been voted in, right?
Oh, Public Enemy last year, but I mean,
there's some other ones.
Yeah,
that were like,
listen. Someone just said fine already.
Yeah,
I think Jan Wenner just said fine. You know,
come on in.
I think that just finally happened. He's like, well, we finally got Rush in, so all right, we'll get Kiss in at this point. At some point, we'll get Iron Maiden in, for Christ's sake.
Right. So, you know, Brian, part of the a part I was looking forward to during this conversation was the fact that you are a born and bred Angelino.
Yeah.
And as we both know in the music biz, which we both come from, there's a lot of transplants. They're not all from here.
How great is our city between Christmas and New Year's. It's the greatest. It's utopia.
85 degrees on a cloud in the sky.
85 and half the city's empty. God, it's just the best. I don't leave, I can't leave during that time because I have so much work going on.
Yeah.
But I love, and I'm going to go ungreen for a second.
Do it.
But I love driving around LA on my 405 freeway on my 101 because there's nobody here. And this year, I swear every one of my friends went left and I was so happy. But the only unfortunate part was they came back.
Yeah,
that was it.
Exactly.
It was unfortunate. I love them all, but they came back.
They came back. Damn.
But yeah, I mean, I was born on Fountain. I was born in Hollywood.
Oh, so you're an LA kid.
In September '75, and I've only lived outside. I lived in Arizona for 9 months to go to school, aka drinking sabbatical, and I came back and haven't left. So I mean, I'm an 805 kid. I'm an 818. I'm an 805 and an 818.
Right. 805 meaning like by Moore Park, right?
I grew up in Newbury Park, so I mean Thousand Oaks, grew up out there and then moved to the 818 in 94 and I haven't left.
Now this is exciting. I mean,
it scares so many people when you say that.
I've done downtown LA episodes, Silver Lake, Los Feliz, East Hollywood, West Hollywood. We've done Long Beach over and over. All these highlighted episodes.
The 818.
We've neglected
just hate
the mighty 818.
Let me tell you what changed the 818 in the last couple of years. It's local peasant. The local peasant changed the 818.
Really?
For the greater good. Never mind the fact that I finally moved from. I lived in Van Nuys. And then I lived in Canoga Park, West Hills. So I lived in the middle of nowhere, right? Like I was so GU to half the females I've ever had in my life. But I moved to Sherman Oaks this summer, and now I can bike to Local Peasant, and I bike up to a Blue Dog, and I bike up to Ventura Boulevard, and I can just hit all the bars and restaurants up there. And
car free.
I do it, man.
I love it.
I go to Sherman Oaks Galleria on my bike. I mean, it's just great. It's a phenomenal area. There's a lot of apartments going up there. It's very fascinating, the real estate market, because obviously Sherman Oaks is very much a place in Los Angeles where if you work on the west side, if you work in Hollywood, if you work downtown, if you even work in the east end or the west end of the valley, you live in Sherman Oaks because it's easy access, 405, 101. But you definitely have this huge flux of more apartments going up in this area. And I was very lucky, to find a brand new apartment building that I've fallen in love with. And I've never lived in an apartment. I've always lived in a house. I bought a house, sold it. And before that, I lived in my buddy's house in Van Nuys. So I'm doing apartment living for the first time. But you can get around transit, bike. We talked about the subway. I use it, I think New Yorkers would laugh at me because I use it probably for one purpose, but it's still a good purpose nonetheless. But I mean, Local Peasant is a bar on Ventura Boulevard that has become my cheers. And I love the food's fantastic.
So it's a bar and grill?
It's a gastro.
Okay.
And tons of wines, tons of beers. The best thing is they have a vegan burger. It's phenomenal.
Are you vegan?
No. I'm not. I just love food. I'll eat vegan. I'll eat whatever. I don't care. I love vegan food. I have friends who are vegan. I'll go out to dinner with them. I have friends who are carnivores. I'll eat with them. But the best is there's this bartender. His name's Wizzo, a Local Peasant. Love this guy. He goes, you should get. Gotta get the vegan burger. Gotta get it with bacon. And that's what he says. And it's just the best line ever.
I love that.
You gotta get the vegan burger with bacon on top. And you're just like...
You're like, okay.
I'm like, now I have not done it because I just haven't. I just love the vegan burger the way it is. But it's just the gastropub. It's a great spot. I went up there at 1:58 on New Year's Eve. Like came down from a party and had the bitter last call, more like the last shot. And it's a fun spot. So it's right Ventura and Hazeltine.
I was going to ask you.
The first time I went there on my friend. It was during the day. It was a group. A group of us went out, but there was a blind date situation going on. So,
all right.
So I'm driving up and down Ventura Boulevard, and I'm getting pissed because I can't find it because there's no signage really. And then sure enough, I finally find it. I walk in. I'm angry. I'm in a bad mood. I'm sitting there. Finally, we get me a drink. I simmer down. Blind date went terribly. It just didn't work out. But that was my first experience, and so. I go there all the time. I actually ran into one of the NSYNC guys, Joey.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had just done that gladiator race at the Rose Bowl, and I had my shirt on. I walk in, and I hear these guys going, "Hey, you guys did the race." I look over, and it's Joey Fatone. I'm like, "You did the race too?" He's like, "Yeah." He was all excited.
That's cool, man.
Awesome. So
now you're a big sports fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got to ask you, Clippers or Lakers?
I'm a Laker, man.
All the way, right?
Goodness, born and raised. I actually have I've had a really cool exchange / relationship with Magic Johnson over the years.
Oh, wow.
Friends with his son. His son used to work at Electra.
Really?
But I will say this. Let's go to the Dodgers for a quick second.
Let's do it.
Greatest moment of my life. I'm one of the 55,000 that was at Dodger Stadium for Game 1. Kirk Gibson.
Okay.
Kid I went to junior high with. His uncle was Tim Leary, the pitcher for the Dodgers. And my dad had just went to the CS series against the Mets. So my dad thought he was hot stuff. He got into that. His son goes to the Game 1 of the World Series.
Right.
He hasn't forgiven me. So the greatest moment of my life is Dodger Stadium, 88. However, I did go to Game 7, Lakers-Celtics back in 2010. I went to, I've been to a bunch of Lakers playoffs games. But I mean, I'm, Magic-worthy Scott, Cooper, and Kareem. It's the greatest lineup of all time.
To this day,
growing up. And then you had the voices, man. I grew up on Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
I grew up on Bob Miller with the Kings. I grew up with Pops with the Raiders when they were in L.A. and obviously Vince Scully.
It added so many different dimensions to watching a game on TV, right?
I think people don't, especially people outside of L.A., every city has their voice for their team. There's no question about it. And we all go, well, ours is the best. Well, you know what?
Ours are the best.
Ours are the best.
It's true.
When you had Chick Hearn, and think about the statue in front of Staples Center for him. How many cities have a statue? Now you got Harry Carey in Chicago, obviously, and there's one in Philly, I believe. But I mean, he was the voice. I think we're so blessed and so lucky to have grown up with that on AM radio. The worst night of the week was Sunday night because that means I didn't get to hear one of those four voices.
Exactly.
I couldn't even get to sleep. You know what I mean? Yeah, I couldn't even get to sleep. I hated it. Never mind, you had to go to school the next morning.
Yeah.
But every night you fell asleep to Vin or to Bob Miller or to Pops, like I said, on the Sundays of the Raiders and Chick Hearn. That's unbelievable, And Bill McDonald is a great friend of mine. He's the play-by-play on TV, and he's just a great, great guy. He's a lot of fun, and he loves working for the Lakers. He loves it. We're having a tough season. It happens. You got 16 titles. You really can't complain too often. But I'm definitely a Laker born and raised. I mean, you grow up listening to and being around, and then I started to get to be around, people like Magic and Worthy and, whether it was at the gym or through friends or whatnot. I'm very lucky, very, very lucky because I have spent time with my sports idols.
Very well done. What did Magic's son do at Electra?
He was an A&R.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Andre was an A&R. I mean,
who did he sign?
Incredibly smart kid. I don't remember who he signed. We sort of crossed paths because I was leaving. He was coming in to the company. But, he's incredibly smart. He's got the mindset of his father as far as business goes. So he's doing, tons of different things and raising a family out here in L.A. and just a great, just like his dad. First off, he looks like his dad, but you want to talk about incredible positive energy. Nothing is like it in the Johnson family, and very open-minded, communicative people.
Are they very open-minded?
Well, you think about what Magic's been through with his other son coming out and him just saying, I love my son. Think about that.
Going on record and saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, and you think of what he did. We all remember the day he announced, I know I cried. I remember that day. This kid I went to school with, Bobby Fender, comes down. I'm walking home, whatever, and he comes. Magic's got AIDS. We're in high school, man. We're like, what are you talking about, Magic? And we were these. When you're a kid and you hear that, when a teenager, it just sounds. You say it in a way, or it's presented in a way that was just demeaning, right? And then I went home, and I'm sitting in front of the TV at 2:00. He's like, the press conference is at 2:00. I'm sitting, nothing. I'm like, whatever. And it's like 2:59. I get up, and all of a sudden it clicks over. And you see these bodies filing into the press room at the Forum, I think it was. And then I just went cold. And then he says he has HIV, and I bawled.
Wow.
like millions of Angelinos. I know we all cried that day because it was a death sentence. He was going to die. So this man who is your idol, you're, 16, 15 or 16, and that's it. He's done. He's going to die. That was, we look back at that now and we go, wow, thank God we've come this far. But at that time, that was it. And, that there are certain things in the history of Los Angeles, especially Los Angeles sports, over the last, for me, 38 years, that are always going to be, I remember when exactly. I remember how I felt. I remember where I sat on the couch in my family room, that kind of stuff.
That's how impactful it was to you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Now, before you came on the air, we were talking about, how the ownership of a team matters to you.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're talking Clippers and Lakers. You really are a fan of the Buss family as well.
Yeah. I think there's certainly people will question the current status of that team. But the fact of the matter is that Jerry Buss will be forever missed, is a living legend. And all we can do is hope that the family does what's best and what he would have done when it comes to the decision making. I think there are great people in place in that organization, without question, to get it back to where it was. This is just a bump in the road.
Yeah. Just to work out the kinks a couple more years and they'll be back on it.
Listen, we're in this era now where you've got 2 to 3 to 4 dominant franchises and you have a lot of bad franchises. You just do, So, for the Laker fan, we all remember that time after Magic. You had 3 or 4 terrible seasons and then the Shaq deal and then Kobe.
Yep.
How many people can say they've witnessed a guy like Kobe Bryant in their lifetime with one team who has done so much?
Exactly.
It's few and far between. So there's another one out there. There's so much incredible talent. And the salary cap and the era we live in, it's definitely more challenging. Building a dynasty is definitely more challenging. I'm not giving the championship to the Heat this year by a long stretch. I'll give it to the Pacers right now.
Really?
You got a hot Portland team. You got Oklahoma City who's hungry. Now
and their championship material.
Yeah. I'll say it right now. I like the Pacers in 7 over the Heat. I think this is the year, and I think that team could win it all.
I agree. Let's get back to the Dodgers really quick, man.
Yeah.
We got a season starting in 2 months.
Oh,
right?
So exciting.
Yeah. Kershaw signed that new deal.
Yeah, and that cameo on New Girl is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Last night, but this is exciting, man. We went to all the playoff games. I went to all but one, and they just they're young. I met Puig. at a Laker game. Yeah, it was awesome. That dude is huge. Oh my goodness, he's physically unbelievable. He's got a Bo Jackson look to him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was sitting. I specifically the last home game of the regular season was the Friday Night Fireworks. I had third row from on right field purposely to see Puig.
Yeah.
And he's like linebacker material, right?
Yeah, we might have been at the same game together. That's really funny.
Yeah.
He is linebacker material. And he came in, remember, he exploded, and the debate was should he be in, the All-Star weekend, right? And then we get to then we have that run, and then we're in the playoffs, and then the pressure on a kid like that is unbelievable. Now, this team goes into spring training with everything signed, everything in place, and a kid like that who's matured, obviously made some mistakes, and now we can go, okay, this is the season that we thought was last season. Fine. You know what it's going to take to get over the hump and to win a championship.
At that level.
Yeah, it exists, and this occurs in all sports, in all types of competition. You know what it's going to take. This is a long season. Do the right thing, and you will be fine. You will get to where you need to be. It's so exciting what they're doing, what we have with the Dodgers. I thought it was going to be last year because it was the 25th anniversary of '88. I had this mythical thing in my head.
Did you really? 25th anniversary.
I was playing the number out. Didn't happen. But what a great run! What a phenomenal run! And the thing is that they can't go into the season going, we have to have that exact kind of run. You got to win the West. You got to get in the playoffs, but you got to stay healthy, and you got to just stay out of trouble. You've just got to keep the arms fresh, that are on the mound because we have the most incredible pitching in baseball.
Sure.
And if the bats can just stay alive, it's going to be a streak. It's a long season. But when you're going through the down part of the season, don't let it affect. You don't get too low. You don't get too high.
The balance truly is.
Yeah, it's a long season, but the energy again, the ownership switch that we talked about created this energy. I don't know about you, but I boycotted going to games when the ownership was what it was because
prior to Johnson. And, same here.
Because it was wrong. It was a bad ownership, and I'm just sorry. It's not a fair weather thing. It's you support your team, but if the people above are ripping you off and not giving you a product, and you have that travesty that happened, that terrible thing that happened to the Giants fan, it's disgusting. You go, this isn't working, and I want my team back. And the right ownership came in and got this. This is a prideful organization.
Absolutely.
My dad grew up in Brooklyn, so this is a family thing for us. This is generational, being a Dodger, and so many of us are like that. That they grew up in New York. This was their team. Granted, you had 3 teams out there, obviously at the time, and 2 come west, and it's a great rivalry. Minus the stupidity, it's a great old rivalry. And I actually in New York the other night I ran into Gavin Newsom.
Did you really?
And I've donated to him, and I've talked to him, and wonderful man, wonderful. And I started like taunting his Giants thing, and he was like, because I had an LA hat on, and he shook his head, and he was just like, you just gotta stop. So all of a sudden I'm in the middle of a concert like going toe to toe with the lieutenant governor over the Dodgers and Giants. I mean, that's just how great it is, from top to bottom. If you're from Northern California and you're a Giants fan, and you're from here and you're a Dodger fan, it's a phenomenal rivalry.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about you getting to games from the Valley to see the Lakers. I mean, you've taken the red line.
Oh, yeah.
You gone car free. No big deal, right?
I love the red line. Now, there's a challenge with car free for me because I got to get to the red line. So,
right. Well, you do it to the best. You drive there.
Yeah. So I'll drive, park at Lancashire.
That's still great.
And then red line it over. It's always great to beat out the rush hour. Here's a funny story. I took a Vivid girl to a game years and years and years ago, and we took the red line. And so it was cool.
That was like right when it opened, right?
Yeah, it was. What was it, like 02, 03?
Which Vivid girl was it?
It was Cassidy. It was Cassidy. So she was like, I'm down, whatever. And we took the red line down there, and I think some of the guys recognized her on the red line.
So funny.
Cool. So yeah, no, I'm trying to think if I've taken it with another adult film star. I feel like I have. We've taken it down there. But I try and take it all the time. I remember I was going to a Oasis concert, and I was going to an Oasis concert and met a buddy of mine on the red line. We met in between.
Great.
And then a friend of mine and I went and saw 9 Inch Nails. We did the same thing. So I'm a big fan of using that from the Lancashire spot.
Save time and money, right?
I'll take it into Hollywood too. Actually, that's my favorite way to go to the bowl. Is I will I'll park at Lancashire and then cruise to the Highland and then
Hollywood and Highland.
And just walk up to the bowl.
Yeah,
that's the best way from the Valley. Every time I get
parking sucks.
Well, and those buses, I always feel like they're about to die on the freeway. God bless them. It's so you're just like, are we gonna make it?
Right?
Am I on the bus that finally collapses and doesn't make it? Like, damn. So yeah, I take it to Hollywood. I've taken it to Hollywood and Vine. I've taken it to MacArthur. I had dinner with a client one time, took it down there. It's really cool. Excuse me. Every stop has something.
Absolutely.
There's some place to go. There's a bar. You have a friend in that neighborhood. You have some place to go. I'm really excited. I'm running the LA Marathon, and this is a big deal for me because I never even thought I'd run a marathon in my life. So the fact that I'm going to be doing the ultimate thing as far as transportation, I'm going to go from Dodger Stadium to Santa Monica on
foot.
On these flat feet, and hopefully not collapse, and hopefully you won't see me at mile 22 like laying down and crying. But they talk about the ultimate LA trip, and the fact that they changed that route years ago and do it from the
so
stadium.
Scenic now.
Yeah, it's just you get to cut through every great part of Los Angeles through a 26.2 mile spectrum. I think it's really cool. So I mean, I think about the red line and whatnot as far as you're going underneath this incredible city to these great spots, and And it is definitely the best way to go.
Right. And every stop on the Red Line truly has its own little secret, whether it's, bars, restaurants, galleries, cool neighborhood shops.
Yeah.
And it's all there to be seen on foot, and you connect with people in your city like no other.
Well, growing up in Los Angeles, never in my life would I thought that I would go downtown for anything.
Especially in the 80s, right? When it was like crazy.
Yeah. I remember as a kid driving by Gazzari's. That always tripped me out. But, we never went downtown. There was nothing downtown to go to.
No.
Why would you go downtown?
It was like zombie land.
Yeah. I'm excited about the Forum. I'm excited that they redid the Forum.
MSG bought it.
Yeah. I've heard only incredible things about it. I have friends that work there, really excited. I think it's the best sounding venue in Los Angeles. I'm really excited to see a rock show there.
Killer.
Or Rihanna. She's kind of rock. Cool.
Well, Brian, give us your website.
It's bsgpr.com. B as in boy, S as in Sam, G as in great, P as in Paul, R as in Robert.com. And going in my 14th year, a couple of years ago, it dawned on me. I was like, whoa, I've been doing this 12 years and now I'm up to 14. When you work for yourself, it's just a blink, but it's been an incredible, incredible journey, and I'm grateful for every minute of it.
And I'm sure this is going to be a great year for you also.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a great year, man. You got the Olympics. You got so much going on.
A lot of energy, right?
Yeah. We got our Dodgers.
I'm stoked.
Pitchers and catchers in 12 days. Here we go. We were just talking about opening day. My buddy and I were getting our tickets ready for that.
It's already that time.
It's a holiday, man.
Absolutely.
I call it a Mexican holiday. No offense, but come on. It's the best, man. When everyone is just at the park and the grills are going, it is the best. It is. I love walking through that park.
Well, let's just say you're right, because I got my white friends from Fullerton saying, "All right, we're going." It's like, lead the way.
Oh man, it is the best. The city just unites down there. You got 60,000 people in the stadium. The energy.
It's electric.
Yeah, it's the beginning. Obviously, in baseball, it's the beginning of spring.
It feels so fresh and
for
nice
most
outside.
of the country, they're still under snow. So
early mid-April, right?
So we get the opportunity where we know it's going to be great. We know we're going to, we're just going to have a great time out there.
Always a blue sky, always nice scenery, and
you know what? We got one more year of Vinny. How about that?
One more
Vin. Isn't that great?
We got to go as many games as possible.
Yeah, you're right. We got to support.
This is it.
This is the year. Hey, we're bringing title back. This is the year.
I think it is.
We've got this.
And I think they're going to try to pull it out extra for Vin.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of motivation. Isn't that amazing? You think about that you want to give this guy a championship.
He's a big component.
I think every player in there wants this so bad. I think the hunger after last year's, disappointment to end the way it did, it's there. And I think anyone who's a Dodger fan right now should be elated and excited. And our number one Dodger fan, Magic Johnson, he's the leader of the ship, and that's a winner right there.
Says a lot.
It does. He's a winner.
Hey, it starts at the top, right? Trickle-down effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Brian Gross, thank you for being a part of the 113th episode of Los Angeles Nista.
113, huh?
Yep.
I like 13.
Like that?
Yeah, that's very cool. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, we're going to take a music break, and we'll be back.
Hello, I'm Isabel Rojas Williams with the Mural Conservancy of Los Angeles. You're listening to LA Nista at Skidrow.
This episode of Los Angeles Nista is brought to you by La Mascota Bakery, a family-owned business serving the community since 1952. Tamales and sweetbread, made the old-fashioned way daily.
yourself.
After school, gotta find something for them to do. When they come home, nobody's around. Keep them occupied after school. Children occupied after school. Gotta find something for them to do. When they come home, nobody's around. We gotta keep them occupied after school. Good. Them occupied.
Hey, welcome back to the 113th episode. I am the show creator, producer, and host, Edward Solis. And my in-studio guest representing a destination that you all got to try, Poppy's Pizza. Marcus Fuentes, how are you, man?
Excellent. How are you doing? Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm excited. You know why? Because we get to talk about two different areas of LA. I mean, you got your pizza place, Poppy's, which is out of downtown.
Yeah, we're right there on 8th Street in between Los Angeles and Main, just at the end of the Fashion District going into the Old Bank District.
I know exactly where that's at. And you guys, you know, LA, especially downtown. I mean, downtown is being, you know, revitalized.
Absolutely.
And you guys installed your place. You guys are in a great area. And it's only going to get better. But you actually are born and raised SoCal. I mean, you're a SGV guy. You were born in Monterey Park.
Absolutely. I was born only probably about 12 miles from where we're sitting right now, and I've never lived anywhere else. So I am very, very much proud Angelino.
And you still live in Monterey Park?
No, I live in downtown.
You live in downtown now?
I've lived in downtown. Actually, this is Skidrow Studios here. I've lived in Skidrow, the Skidrow part of Los Angeles for the past 10 years. I live in a 100-year-old church that's gutted in the middle of Skidrow downtown, and that's our house now. I'm really blessed to have been there for.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And this is, you moved in before it was cool to be in downtown.
Man, when I moved into downtown, absolutely, yeah. And even where Poppy's is right now, 3 years ago, there's no way we even put the restaurant there. That building was a mess, and now,
really,
yeah, we were the first business to go in on that block, and since then it's done nothing but grown. But being in Skid Row these past 10 years, we just knew that there was a need for a pizza culture in downtown, so we jumped on it, and now it's definitely here.
That's a pretty big commitment. I mean, LA's a big city. So for you to step back and say, okay, look, it's Los Angeles, there's Mexican food, there's different styles of Mexican food, right? There's the Mexican seafood, there's the street tacos, all that stuff. But for you to actually kind of advocate that there's no pizza culture, when did you really decide that?
You know what? I think it was the first time I ever went to New York, and I came back and I heard all this stuff about, we know all about pizza, we're this about pizza, we're that about pizza. I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley near a really great market called Claro's.
Claro's.
There is a Claro's market. There's one in San Gabriel. There's one.
It's a market that serves pizza.
It's an Italian market. It's a true delicatessen.
Let me tell you something. My mom, who's listening right now, she is a hairdresser, and she would cut hair throughout, different places like, Monterey Park, Alhambra.
Sure.
On Saturdays, she would bring home Claro's pizza. And I never tasted pizza like that.
Yeah, no, that
beats New York pizza.
Absolutely. When I very first started eating Claro's when I was a kid, there was something about the sausage. My family always ordered sausages, the different meats and things from Claro's. And that's where I think I found my love for that kind of food. And I knew that they had a really good product, but there wasn't just enough in downtown. There was nothing like that in downtown.
Sure.
And so there was definitely, a space to be filled. And at that time when we were thinking about doing it, we knew that if we were going to do it, we were going to do it the very best possible way we could. The same thing with Claros. That's what they're using only the best products. They don't cut any corners, and that's really what our whole entire concept is. We don't have a lot on our menu. We're just trying to do the best quality pizza we can do.
And I could attest to that is the truth, because last week, you brought some food by, and we tried some of your product. You brought these really good wedges.
Those are oven-baked potato wedges. Those are the guilt-free potato wedges.
Guilt-free potato wedges.
Yeah, man.
That?
And then with those, we do all of our own in-house gourmet dipping sauces. So we've got this one. It's a chipotle ketchup.
Okay.
We have a horseradish aioli. We have a pesto aioli. We do an almond blue cheese. And so the potatoes are amazing. But that's just a vehicle to take you on a trip on these really great sauces, and that's what makes it really interesting too. So yeah, we're really proud of our wedges. That's for sure.
And the pizza you brought in that I tried one of each. You brought in a pepperoni, but then there was one with it was like, what was it like? There had a leaf on it.
It was a true margarita pizza.
True margarita pizza.
Now, a lot of times, you'll get a margarita pizza. It's just, the tomatoes, cheese, and some basil. Where what we do is on every single slice of our margarita pizza, we've taken what is not just the typical mozzarella cheese, but a slice of a fresh logged mozzarella cheese, which is much, much different. If you've never had fresh mozzarella cheese, like in a caprese salad or things like that, then you're missing out. You have to do this. So on each slice, we have the fresh mozzarella with the basil. And every single one of our pizzas, to make it a little bit different, I think that sets us apart for a lot of other pizzerias in LA, is that we twice bake every single pizza.
Wow.
So it may take a little bit longer for your pizza, but in Italy, when they bake a pizza, they bake it twice because they pay attention to every single ingredient on the pizza, and they realize that some ingredients have different baking times, have different cooking temperatures, and so we manipulate the pizza in and out so it does that for us. So once we bake it twice, for the first time, we'll pull it out, we'll put on the final ingredients, whether it be the fresh mozzarella cheese, the portobello mushrooms, anything that wouldn't stand the amount of time it takes for the first bake, we put on the second bake, and that brings the pizza to the crispness we want it to be without burning any of those top ingredients. We only bake our pizzas on a hot stone, and that's also a big difference. A lot of places nowadays are using those conveyor belt ovens. That's not the way pizza should be. Pizza has been baked on a hot stone for 1,000 years. We're not trying to change that. Maybe not quite 1,000, but at least a few hundred. We'll go with that.
Sure. All right, sounds good. So let's back up. Let's talk about your location. Okay, LA is a big place, and obviously you ended up right by the fashion district. And you said 3 years ago it wouldn't have happened.
No, the Huntington Hotel there is right there, and you're familiar with. There's that famous Huntington Hotel over in Pasadena area, Huntington Library. Mr. Huntington built a place right on the corner of 8th and Los Angeles, and it was a single-room occupancy hotel that, from what I understand, he was bringing a lot of his artisans out from the East Coast to build his big places here in L.A. And that, for a long time, I mean, that building for years was considered very much a not such a great place to be. We'll just put it that way. It was considered much more of like closer to the SROs over in Skidrow. Luckily, we found an owner that bought the place. He was willing to really take it to the direction it needed to go, and now it's an amazing, amazing building. Now it's called the Huntington Apartments. We're at the bottom of that place, of that building. And like I said, 3 years ago, it was a rat's nest. Now they've really taken it somewhere, and it's a beautiful place. So we're blessed to be there.
Tell us about the Pizza Void. I mean, there's some places popping up, but definitely when you guys started 3 years ago, there wasn't much going on.
There was probably about 3 or 4 spots in downtown, and in the past 2 years, I think now we're up to about a dozen new pizza shops in downtown. So it's definitely, and you know what? We love it. We celebrate it because we know that our product stands, and we know that there needed to be a pizza culture in Los Angeles. My wife and I, my partner, who I wish she was here actually with me right now, my wife Angelica, her and I, we would plan our vacations around pizza trips, like pizza restaurants, visiting them in different cities. A lot of people go to different cities. They want to go to a certain museum. They may want to go visit, a golf course there or something. Our whole world is about what city are we going to and what pizza shops do they have there. And that's how we would plan most of our vacations. So if we were going to Seattle, it was all about, what pizza shops are in Seattle. By the way, Tomato Pie, just a little heads up, is the best pizza spot in Seattle. We give love to anyone else that does a really good pizza, and we celebrate that.
That's awesome. Real positive.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a place for everybody. We just know the majority of the people prefer our pie because It's better.
I mean, if you truly have a good product, the word of mouth is going to travel
Absolutely.
fast. And let's be honest, when you end up going to see a movie, it's because friends are like, hey, you got to see this.
Absolutely.
Or you go see a band, you got to see this band.
Yeah.
It's not because you saw an ad of Rolling Stone and say, oh, I'm going to go buy that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the word of mouth, you can't pay for it. And if you're, you have some strong legs to stand on with your quality.
Yeah, that's been our best marketing tool so far has been word of mouth. We're without a doubt, people drive by our shop every day and they say, oh, I didn't even see it, or they're looking for it. They start calling us. We're what you would call the true ma and pa hole in the wall. We're that small of a little shop, but that's sometimes that's appealing to people. Sometimes maybe they're looking for the bigger corporate place, but I'll tell you this. When those people usually say, "Oh, the best food comes out of the hole in the wall places,"
true.
It's true.
You know what I'm really amazed by? The fact that you are somewhat using Claros as a catalyst for your model because the product was so good. And
absolutely.
And it's so funny because the Claros represents a Friday or Saturday night in my childhood growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember. Thanks to my mother, I remember that pizza the way it tastes. And to this day, I've never tasted pizza like it anywhere.
Yeah.
And that is all due to, as you say, quality product.
Absolutely.
And it's so easy to cut corners, right?
And let me tell you, every single week we get different representatives of different food distribution companies that try to come in, that try to give me frozen potato wedges. Oh, we noticed you guys have potato wedges. I've got frozen ones. You guys just pop them in the oven. They're already half cooked. And I'm sitting there looking at these guys like, man, how hard is it for me to sit here? I've got a whole bag, a 50-pound bag of potatoes. I can chop them up. I can season them the way I want to season them. Why is your frozen ones, how could your frozen ones even possibly be better? So, I get that constantly where people are trying to, or even with the cheese, if you look at the food distributors, they're going to give you a catalog with 30 different cheeses. And as people start, they want to make a little more profit. Oh, well, let's try this one instead. It's 50 cents cheaper a pound. We're going to end up making a bunch of margin. So you increase your margin. And what they start doing is cutting down. And, we made the commitment from the very beginning. That was never going to be that was going to be something we never did. We decided that we wanted to just, use the best pizza. When it comes down to it, it is a science because it comes, you want to make sure that it's done the right way, that your sauce is what you want it to be, but it's not science because if you start with just really excellent ingredients, there's a good chance you're going to come out with an excellent pizza.
So if that's your starting point, then
absolutely.
And then if you have the great oven.
Absolutely.
The stone oven.
You got to have a stone deck oven. That's number one in the pizza world, in our opinion, for sure. I mean, my wife, we would never bother even eating a pizza that wasn't cooked in a stone deck oven.
Right, and being double baked. I mean, I never even heard of that. I mean, that's really killer.
Yeah, it's like I said, if you want your pizza to have that certain texture, and whether it be a sandwich, when somebody describes a good sandwich, they start off with, how's the bread? And that's the same thing with
the foundation,
pizzas. It's
right?
the foundation of it, absolutely. And so when people talk about pizzas, the very first thing they're going to talk about, or they're going to ask about, well, how was the crust? Well, if you want to get your crust right, you need to have it soft in the center, but still have a snap, still have a crispness to it. And that's what we do. By the twice baking each pizza, we're able to accomplish that. And people get frustrated with this because they see the pizza come in, they see it come out, and it looks all bubbly and beautiful, and they're sitting there looking at it like, okay, cut it up, give us our pizza. And I have to tell them, no, wait a minute, man. You got to let the cheese reduce its temperature for a few minutes so we don't burn your cheese, and we're going to put it back in the oven again, and you got to wait another 3 more minutes. And they're looking at me like, what? And I just wait a minute, be a little patient. It's going to be worth it, and it is every single time.
Very well put. Now, you brought an employee with you.
Well, yeah, I have who's our very first manager we hired. Yeah, we've been open for 2 years. And Tom's been on board for about 2 months now. And he's brought us here tonight and made a lot of contributions and is really helping me take the business in the right way. So yeah, we're
welcome,
blessed to
Tom.
have him.
Thank you. Well, that's very nice, Marcus. Thank you.
You're wearing a Boston hat. Are you from Boston?
I'm not from Boston. I am a Red Sox fan. My father raised me as a Red Sox fan. My dad was an East Coaster. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a Red Sox fan for sure.
Okay.
But But hey,
Green Monster.
But you know what? I'm also a Dodgers fan. I feel like American National League, I can have a team in both leagues.
Yeah, a big league, right?
Hey,
you got tons of American League
there's
teams.
162 games. I can root for whoever I want. And, and I love to go to Dodgers games and get the Doyer dogs. My wife loves to go. It's fantastic. I love it. I got bobbleheads. You know, it's the real deal.
So you're a Dodger fan.
I'm a baseball fan.
I
played baseball for a long time. And
what position?
I was a middle infielder, and then you can see me now. I don't look like a middle infielder. I'm about 250. So thanks to Poppy's Pizza. And so, you know, when I was younger, I was a lot more slender and athletic. But now I'm a foodie. So I'll take that. Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So what, catcher, first base?
Well, now, yeah, maybe in maybe in some beer league softball. I don't move quite as fast as I used to.
Tell me, man, so are you from LA also?
I've been in LA for about a decade.
Where do you call home?
Downtown. I live downtown. Yeah.
No, your hometown.
My hometown is Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
SLC.
So I ventured out when I was 18 and went to college in Portland,
There's
Oregon.
There's some good record stores there.
Really?
Gray Whale CDs. That's a regional chain. You know that? You know
yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's Slow Train.
I don't know Slow Train, but I know Gray Whale.
And Ranch Records. That's the punk store.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was growing up, there was like 5 punk kids in Utah.
That's it.
Yeah. And which to me was disturbing, which is why I left when I was 18. I was like, as soon as I graduated high school, I was like, I'm out.
And you're glad you came to LA, right?
I did. I had one of my good buddies convince me to move here because I was doing like film editing and things like that. And he was like, you know, you need to come to LA. And I was like, done.
Is there good Mexican food in Salt Lake City?
I haven't been back to Salt Lake City in a long time, but I remember my parents taking me to this place called El Matador.
Yeah.
When my sister and I, when we were kids, and eating cheese enchiladas, and we just, I mean, you know, as kids, Mexican food is comfort food for anybody.
Right.
And I'm still passionate about, I'm passionate about food anyway, but I love Mexican food.
So you love LA?
I love LA. Yeah, I really do.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Have you tried riding the subway here? The Red
Absolutely,
Line?
Yeah.
Car free, right?
I used to ride the subway to work out in the valley.
Nice.
Which was kind of a long jaunt, but it actually was relaxing for me because instead of pumping my brakes for, 2 hours, I was able to kind of like read books or the newspaper and get caught up on the things going on in the world. So I'm a big advocate of public transportation. I mean, yeah, I own a car, but I mean
it's a car culture. You need it.
It's a big city. You know, we're spread out. It's not like New York. You know, or I lived in Seoul, Korea for a while, where people are just stacked on top of people. 18 million people, and I didn't even own a car there. I just rode the trains everywhere. You could get anywhere. So I love the aspect of public transportation, and there's plenty of stops in downtown that are a short walking distance from Poppy's. So
yeah,
absolutely,
you can take the train from anywhere and get to Poppy's.
Absolutely,
it's 3 blocks from Pershing Square. So if you get off from Pershing Square, that's your best bet.
Hey man, people, the pizza advocate and pizza enthusiast could take a red line from Lancashire in North Hollywood straight to Pershing Square and walk to your place.
Absolutely,
not have to pay for parking, find parking, or get stressed out.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
And I would like to point out that we do deliver in the downtown area.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Now, is it you that delivers?
I absolutely go on deliveries, and so does Marcus.
So do I. Yeah,
that's so if I order, you guys will come to my place.
Absolutely.
That's how Marcus and I met, actually.
Yeah, I was delivering pies because every afternoon from 11 until 6 I do deliveries every single day, and Tom typically ordered during the day, and that's how we started talking to each other. Is that I was bringing pies to him at least once a week, every week, and one day he asked me, he's like, "Are you the owner?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You do deliveries?" I said, "I'm a small business owner, bro. Like this is you better believe I do deliveries. I wash the dishes. I don't wash the dishes as much as I used to, but I'm gonna get called on that from my employees if they're here. But yeah, no, we wear every hat, and that's what you have to do in a small business. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and that's one of the things I found really intriguing about Poppy's Pizzeria is because I started off as a customer, straight up. Like I was like, this is delicious, and I've ordered from everywhere in downtown, every kind of food. I love to order out, and I tried everything. There was something about Poppy's that was intriguing to me. I couldn't really put my finger on it. And I think what a lot of it is with Marcus and Angelica, it's family owned and operated, and their fingerprints on it. Like, well, not literally, all right,
but on the pizza.
Yeah. But you can definitely taste the love that's been put into it, and I think that transcends.
It resonates definitely,
absolutely, and we love the pizza culture in downtown. We're advocates of the industry. So, but I personally, that's how my relationship with Marcus started, and And then it just kind of blossomed from there. We'd run into each other at gas stations in downtown. Like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
You know, and
the synergy was there, right?
Absolutely. No, there was. We kept saying, like, as we ran into each other at one gas station, and then we ran into each other at another. And there's only like 3 gas stations in downtown. But it's like, man, you're here again. Like, whoa. And then finally he was just like, hey, you know, like, I want to work for you. And I said, well, obviously we keep running into each other. There's a reason why we do. So let's do this. And we started running with it. And it's been working out really great since. I knew too, he was a dog person. I'm a dog person.
Yeah.
His dog would come to the door every time I would deliver a pizza. And Poppy's is actually named after our dog. Our dog is Poppy.
Oh, wow.
So our dog is our baby.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's a little pit bull that breaks every bad stereotype of pit bulls you can imagine. Our dog is 100%. Has no idea what aggression is. He is a lover on every single level.
Total, right?
Yeah. This whole So he's the boss. He's the boss around the house and around the pizza shop. He doesn't get to come to the shop too much, but he's definitely, his spirit is there every day with us.
That's cool, man. Yeah. Now let's talk about the prep that goes into operating an independent pizza place with fresh ingredients. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get everything cut up, the sauce is made. You open at what time?
Well, we open at 11, but we start every day. I mean, my days most usually start between about 8 o'clock my day starts a little earlier, but my day for the pizza shop starts about 8. I mean, you know, a lot of times, and like, again, before, like we'll say with those conveyor belt ovens, you fire it up and in about 2 minutes, your oven's hot.
Really, 2 minutes?
Well, those new conveyor belt ones, yeah. I have an old school stone deck oven. I have to turn on my oven about 2 to 3 hours before I can put a pie in because I need to bring that stone up to about 700 degrees before I can do anything. So I got to get there really early. And now that, like, again, before I said that we were using food distributors and dealing with that, and I just dropped all of that. I want to make sure that I can go from spot to spot, probably about 4 or 5 different places I know I buy produce from. And if I don't like the produce the way it looks at one spot, I go to the next one until we have the right color tomatoes that we're supposed to be using, the proper quality of bell peppers. We don't use regular white button mushrooms. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure we're the only ones in downtown that we only use portobello mushrooms. They're much meatier, have much more substance, much more flavor. They're the right mushroom that belongs on a pizza, you know? So all of those little things in the morning, those are the first things I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about what do we have as far as the freshest. We only have one refrigerator in the entire restaurant.
So you go and purchase your
every
produce every
single morning.
There's no trucks dropping stuff off.
There's never a truck that drops off at our place. Every single morning we restock everything just about. Same thing with the cheese. There's nothing. We have no walk-in refrigerator, so everything needs to be there every single day. And so you know, it's a lot to prep in the morning. But again, if you want that quality of a pizza, that's what you do.
So it's always the produce vendors first.
Yeah, definitely.
And then if you don't see the colors the right way, you're on to the next one.
Absolutely, because color is flavor. You know that when you look at a tomato that has no bright color in it, it's not going to have a bright flavor. And people eat with their eyes first, and then it follows. And you're first going to realize that it's not going to be attractive visually, and the flavor just won't be there. You know, it's been. If it doesn't have, a lot of times, you know, just because they need to fill the produce spot, they'll pick something before it's ripe, before tomatoes come to its full ripeness. And I see that every single day. So I just keep on going and go to the next spot. If it's not good, I go to the next spot. So we have about 4 or 5 different places we buy produce from.
That's a lot of work. That's killer, though.
Absolutely, but it's worth it.
Comes with the territory, right?
Sure. If that's what you're trying to pull off, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and like for me, like I don't eat just to sustain my health or body or energy. I want it to be an experience. You know, I eat for the experience. And that's I call myself a foodie. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that have a lot more knowledge of the culinary arts or whatever than I do. But at the same time, like I eat enough food to know what is delicious. And, and Poppy's was one of those things that really touched me with the experience of what I think is just a flat out delicious pizza. So, and that's where the love started for me. And now that I'm involved, from an employee standpoint,
right?
You know, the food, the prep, the freshness of the ingredients, the love that's put into it. I'm all about it. Like, and that's kind of what I thought was going on there. And now that I'm there, I'm like, yeah.
Okay. It translated,
that's
and
exactly
you
right.
went in, now you're in the inside, and it's true.
Absolutely. So I just confirmed all that by being a part of the vision that Marcus and Angelica have for Poppy's Pizzeria. I really think it's just, and I love working for. They're great people. I love being a part of of their business and their family.
Very well done. Now let's talk about house specialties. I mean, is there anything that you guys make that you can't find in any other place?
Absolutely. Well, okay. First of all, our menu, when it comes down to it, we've got a lot of the basics. We don't have a huge menu. Again, the only thing we serve at Poppy's Pizzeria is amazing pizza. We serve oven-baked potato wedges with gourmet dipping sauces. And we also serve gourmet salads. And that gives it a good balance, too. We've got 3 different salads. We have a organic baby mixed green salad. It's done with a house vinaigrette. We do it there. It also has goat cheese, sliced green apples, and candied almonds over it. Then we have a Marco Polo salad. That one's very similar to like an Asian chicken salad, but it's our version. It's then topped with a bunch of with sesame seeds. And then we also have a classic Caesar. When it comes down to the pizzas, we kept the menu just at those items, and then decided to cut out everything else. A lot of different places, they've got chicken fingers, they've got wings, they've got this, they've got that. We have no fryer in our place, so we can't do it. We chose to have only an oven, no fryer. Again, that's why the potato wedges are baked. But we decided to keep the menu simple like that, and even the pizzas, they're pretty straightforward. We don't have our pizza. And I'm not trying to criticize anyone. A lot of pizzas nowadays, we look at it, they're very gimmicky. There's a lot of gimmick pizzas out there. If you look at our menu, we have a classic margarita. We have a butcher block, which is basically a meat lover's pizza. It has the bacon. It has hickory smoked bacon. It has smoked ham. It has pepperoni. It has Italian sausage. It has fresh chopped basil. So that's the meat lovers. We have
4 different meats.
Yeah, 4 different meats. We have the classic margarita. We have what is traditional Bianca. So a lot of them are traditional pizzas in that sense. And then we have a couple that we definitely are our own recipes that no one else has. One being is the Carmelita. So that is the Bianca pizza. It's done with the white sauce, but then it has caramelized onions and smoked ham on top. That's the Carmelita. We have one other one, which is our regional. We had to throw one good regional. We're from LA, and we're in LA, so how could we not celebrate the Zapata?
Oh, wow.
We have a Zapata. We have a Zapata pizza. It's done with our spicy tomato sauce. It has a chorizo, fresh sliced tomatoes, and fresh sliced jalapenos. Now, the chorizo, we decided to go with a beef-based chorizo instead of a pork-based. We found that it was held a lot better. It was a lot less of that chorizo grease all over the pizza.
Yeah, not as greasy.
It's definitely not as greasy, definitely not as runny, and it's an amazing pizza. By far, that is our best seller. You get people in our spot at about 2:30. They just got out of the bars. They want to hurt themselves for whatever reason, and they're like, make it extra spicy. They'll come into the back of the place. They're sitting there crying. We're asking them, is everything okay? And with tears coming down their face, they're smiling at me like, yeah, this is amazing. We're like, all right, man, if that's what you wanted. But, but it doesn't come that spicy, only if they request it. It comes pretty spicy, though, depending on what your taste is. But it's our one definite special regional pizza that we have. And across the board, every culture in LA loves it, man. I can't even tell you.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk about your hours.
Hours. Okay.
You talk about 2:30 a.m. People coming in and out getting.
Yeah. Well, Friday and Saturday we're there till 3. Tom knows we don't leave until 4. Huh?
Yeah.
Part of the deal, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tom's still running. We're still doing deliveries at 3:30 because we're taking calls at 2:55. So we close at 3:00 on Fridays and Saturdays. We're open every day at 11 except for Sundays. We open late on Sundays. We're only open from 4 to 10. Weekdays we're open from 11 a.m. till 11 p.m. So I think we cover the weekdays pretty well, and we make sure that we're there on the weekends for the people they're trying to finish up and have something to eat before they get on their ride home. There's still those people that aren't as smart as us and still drive their cars far away. So,
exactly.
They got to put something in their stomach before they go. So we're happy to do it for them.
Well done. Now let's talk about any specials coming up. Like, is there a special every weekend?
We do run a lot of specials. If people like us on Facebook, they can know what's going on with that.
Okay, great.
We just did a big special again for the Super Bowl, and that was with any multi-pie order, you get your full order of free wedges. It always switches. We're thinking about doing some baked pastas. We won't be doing, possibly a macaroni and cheese or ziti. That's kind of in our playbook, future playbook pretty soon. We'll see how that goes. And that will definitely start that off as a special at first and kind of let it grow from there. We have all of the different specialty pizzas on the menu are specially priced. Now, the butcher block, the margarita, the caramel, if you were to try to go and build your own pizza and do that, those pizzas would actually be a lot more expensive. So when you do order those specialty pizzas from us, it's a discounted price already.
It is.
Yeah, and every day of the week, no matter what, we run a lunch special. So you can come in anytime, get 2 slices off of the counter, and you'll get your drink for free for $6. And you can't beat that.
2 slices and a drink for $6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my next question. You guys do sell slices, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you come in anytime, we always have a full counter of slices available for
Different
you. So
variations.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always at least probably 4 or 5 different pies on the counter. So you could walk in. We won't serve you the slice right off of the pan. We insist it's got to go back in the oven for a couple minutes, and we've got to do that second bake. We've got to make it crispy. We always get people that walk in and say, oh, no, it's cool. I like cold pizza. That's not the point. The point is the crust isn't where we need it to be quite yet. So if you want it cold, then we're going to second bake it for you, and then you can let it get it cold. But we're going to make sure that crust has the crispness that is the Poppy signature.
So you always want to make sure your signature is delivered
every time.
Every time.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially in the restaurant industry, consistency is the hardest thing to accomplish, but the most important thing that you need to make sure is there. Because, I mean, like anything, somebody orders something one day, and like you said, there's nothing better than mouth to mouth,
word of mouth, yeah,
word of mouth. And if somebody
that's
says
fun too,
like that, there's nothing better than word of mouth. And so if somebody is really excited about your product and they want to share it with their friend, and it doesn't show up the same way the next time, that's a disappointment. And just because, no matter how it showed up, because it was different, it's not going to be the same thing. So consistency is so important to us, and then we're trying to make sure that happens every single time.
And finally, here's my question for you. What's your favorite pizza at Poppy's? What's your favorite?
What do you say, Tom? It's pretty much what's in front of us at the moment.
You know what? I've tried everything, obviously, and when I was ordering from Poppy's as a customer, I would often, sometimes I'd get 2 pies, but oftentimes it would be the butcher block and the Zapata, or I would get the margarita, just depending on what my palate was telling me it wanted. But you know what? Everything's delicious. It really is. I mean, like I said, I didn't just jump in and like fill out a job application. I was a big fan as a customer. And I was like, I got to know what's going on there.
That's great.
So yeah, that was my kind of the starting point for me. But yeah, everything's delicious. I can honestly say that. I mean, obviously it's my opinion, but it's a lot of people's opinion.
Yeah, it is. It is. And what's beautiful too is that even if when you can't figure out what your taste is for that day, and if 2 pies look really great to you, we don't charge any extra. If somebody wants a half and half pie, we'll do it for them. We're happy to do it. Sure, it's their pie.
You'll tailor it for them?
Yeah, we'll tailor half and half. We can't go into quarters or thirds.
A little crazy, right?
But yeah, that's a little much because it's just, too much. But definitely, if somebody wants to buy a pie and they're going to share it with someone else, whether it be a friend or a family member or their wife or their husband, and they're in the mood for one pie and someone else is in the mood for another. Sure, we're going to do half and half for them. We only do one size pie. We do an 18-inch extra large pie. And so if they need half and half to make sure that everybody's happy, then that's what we're going to do. Definitely.
And I would also like to throw in there, like if you have to make a lot of people happy, we do cater.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
So we do.
So catering services are available upon request.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do. We've been really blessed. We've got a lot of corporate accounts downtown. A lot of the big businesses that we didn't even know. We feel like we're the little ma and pa hole in the wall spot. But now we've got all these big companies. These big bank, huge corporate companies calling us up saying, "We want to do a tasting with you. We hear good things. Can we set up a corporate account?" And at first I was like, what's a corporate account? Yeah. I was like, well, that means we're going to pay you at the end of the month. And I was like, okay, well, you mean you're not going to pay me right now?
Yeah.
But it's been, we've been blessed because that's been working out for us. I mean, we love selling slices to all of our community every day, all the hundreds of friends that we've made. But, it's really nice to be able to send 20, 30 pies at once up to an office and do it like that. So we are really excited about where we're going with catering and not just to the offices, but to a lot of last year we did a film festival here in downtown at the Orpheum. We've been doing we've been doing a lot of different things like that. So any way that we can be involved and be part of the community and feed the community, that's what we're here to do.
Hey, quality pie making new friends.
Yeah, man.
Downtown LA.
Yeah.
Poppy's Pizza.
Definitely.
Thank you for being a part of the 113th episode of Los Angeles Nista.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
You guys have a website?
Yeah, we do. Poppy'sPizzeria.com.
There you go. Thank you very much.
That was it?
You are listening to Skidrow Studio.